Welcome to Class 5 Maths Mela, Chapter 1, We the Travelers, Part 1. Today, we're diving into the solutions for this chapter, exploring how to solve problems step by step. Let's get started and make sense of the journey ahead together. Let's look at rounding to the nearest hundred. The rabbit is at 2,346, and its food is stored at the closest hundreds nearby. So, which hundred is closest? Well, 2,300 is the nearest hundred to 2,346. To get there, the rabbit will need 46 jumps. This example helps us understand how to find the nearest hundred and calculate the steps needed to reach it. It's a simple way to make big numbers easier to work with. Here, we're looking at the number 2,346 and figuring out which thousand it's closest to. The rabbit starts at 2,346, but its food is stored at the nearest thousand. So, which number is that? It's 2,000, the closest thousand below 2,346. To get there, the rabbit will need to make 346 jumps. This helps us understand rounding numbers and counting the steps between them. Now we're moving into a hands-on part. This slide invites us to fill in the boxes with the right information. It's a simple exercise, but it helps us engage directly with the ideas we've been discussing. By actively participating, we make the concepts stick, turning theory into practice. Let's take a moment to focus and complete this step carefully. Here we're looking at how numbers round to different place values: tens, hundreds, and thousands. For example, 3,176 rounds to 3,180 when we go to the nearest 10, 3,200 for the nearest hundred, and 3,000 for the nearest thousand. This table shows how rounding shifts the number depending on the level of precision we choose. It's a simple but powerful way to make numbers easier to work with, especially when exact values aren't necessary. Let's look at a number, 7,126. When we round it to the nearest hundred, we get 7,100 because the digit in the tens place is less than 5. Rounded to the nearest thousand, it becomes 7,000, since the hundreds digit is also less than 5. Now, here's the puzzle. Vijay rounds a number to the nearest hundred, Suma rounds the same number to the nearest thousand, and they both end up with the same result. Which numbers could they have started with? Let's think it through. Let's look at how rounding works with these numbers. Take 7,835, rounded to the nearest hundred, it's 7,800, because 3 is less than 5. But rounded to the nearest thousand, it's 8,000, since 8 is greater than 5. Now, 7,030 rounds to 7,000 for both hundred and thousand, because the digits after are less than 5. And 6,999 also rounds to 7,000 in both cases, since those nines push it up. So, both 7,030 and 6,999 end up at 7,000 when rounded this way. Now, let's tackle a question that asks us to think about rounding numbers. We're looking for pairs of numbers that round to the same value at different levels. First, two numbers that share the same nearest 10, like 28 and 31. Then, two that round to the same nearest hundred, such as 78 and 126. Finally, two numbers rounding to the same nearest thousand, for example, 883 and 1263. Your answers might be different, and that's okay. The key is understanding how rounding groups numbers together. Let's explore when numbers share the same rounded value at different levels. First, numbers have the same nearest 10 and nearest hundred when rounding both ways leads to the same result. This usually happens when a number is really close to 100, just a little above or below it. For example, if we round any number from 95 to 104 to the nearest 10 or the nearest hundred, we end up with 100 every time. It's a neat overlap in rounding. Let's look at when rounding to different place values gives the same result. This happens when a number is really close to 1,000, just a bit above or just a bit below. For example, if you round any number between 995 and 1,004 to the nearest 10, 100, or 1,000, you'll always end up with 1,000. Similarly, numbers from 950 to 1049 round to 1,000 whether you round to the nearest hundred or thousand. It's a neat overlap that shows how rounding zones work. Thank you all for being here and sharing this time with me. If you found value in what we discussed, please like, subscribe, and share. It helps us keep the conversation going and reach more people. I appreciate your support, and I look forward to what we'll explore next together.